Over the last few years, South India, led by Bengaluru, has emerged as a significant advertising hub in India, challenging the traditional dominance of Mumbai and Delhi. What has led to this rise? Well, the proliferation of startups, direct-to-consumer brands, and technology companies in the city, alongside a shift in consumer behavior, especially in the southern market. What else? Digital talent and innovation, the city's unique blend of digital expertise and innovative independent agencies has led to internationally recognized work. Also, the influx of new advertising sectors like e-commerce, fantasy leagues, cryptocurrency, and BFSI have contributed significantly to Bengaluru's rise as an advertising hub. And well, it is Bengaluru, so of course, tech-driven approach can't be far behind. The city's strong technological foundation and comfort with digital tools and AI-powered content creation have further propelled its growth in localized advertising. Listen on as we break it all down for you. It's Friday, the 18th of July. I'm your debutant podcast host, Prasad Sangameshwaran. This is the Morning Brief. Joining me today are three accomplished gentlemen. Rahul Vengalil, the co-founder and CEO at Together, a full funnel advertising agency. Rahul's been a seasoned media professional with experience across marketing disciplines. Welcome, Rahul.
Hi, nice being here.
We also have Kaustav Das. He's the co-founder and CEO of Ralph&Das. Kaustav is a very well-known strategic planning mind who now runs an integrated advertising agency based in Bengaluru. Welcome, Kaustav.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
And of course, no conversation on branding can be complete without the presence of Lloyd Mathias, a veteran marketer who has earned his stripes with stints at PepsiCo, HP, Tata Docomo, and Motorola. Lloyd is also a marketing strategist and an angel investor. Hello there, Lloyd. Welcome on board.
Hi, Prasad. Wonderful to be here.
To kickstart this conversation with Rahul, we've actually kind of, debated this in the past as well, where we spoke about how Mumbai once had like a iron grip over the advertising market in the country. Then Delhi came and played catch up. But Bangalore has actually come out of nowhere and is giving both these mega cities a run for their advertising money. Rahul, could you kind of, give us a sense of what it looks from your vantage point of view?
Okay. So I moved to Bangalore about 18 years back into the ad sales business, which is all about advertising and the budgets. At that point in time, other than few clients in the B2B segment or in the technology segment, which is Dell, Intel, etc., most of the corporate brand presence in Bangalore were apparel and fashion. The titans of the world, Madura Garments, Aravind, Wranglers, a lot of even lingerie brands like Enamor, Jockey, etc. were all Bangalore. Fast forward 18 years, today we have a fair mix. E-commerce were the primary ones to actually drive this advertising game in Bangalore back in early 2010s. I still remember launching Myntra campaign in 2010. Then you had the growth of Flipkart. Then you had newer startups coming in. So now you have RMG money coming in. You have cryptocurrencies in Bangalore. You have FMCGs in Bangalore. You have insurance guys in Bangalore. So across the categories, you have now a lot of different brands, different companies who have actually started pumping in the advertising dollars. Along with that, you also have Chennai coming up in small way. You have Kerala coming up in small ways. I mean, who would have heard of Kalyan and Muthoot and Manappuram and Joy Alucas and Juice Alucas and Malabar? like 10 years back, right?
Yeah. Okay, the growth of Bangalore and the rest of South India is not just about clients parking themselves there and kind of busting the bank with large advertising budgets. Kaustav, if I can bring you in, it's also about a serious talent deciding to park itself in Bangalore, right?
So that's a very interesting question that you're asking. When we started the agency, we sensed this need for integrated agencies happening at that point of time and integrated in the real sense. If you just look at the data, you will realize that traditionally, because, like Rahul was saying, the big businesses where all the big brands were in Bombay, FMCG, durables, or in Delhi, right? And hence the practice was that you went to your the agency in your city, right? What we realized is as people became more tech savvy, they were increasingly more open to doing things over video. I mean, for example, our first client was VGuard out of Cochin, and they're absolutely comfortable with us talking to us and doing work and briefing us and everything over video conferencing, right? And we used to do maybe one trip a month. It has come down to even lesser now, right? And so we cashed in on that. What is the other thing that's happening is there is the South in terms of per capita income has been pacing it out ahead of the country, and the move towards premiumization is happening faster in the South. So every brand wants to actually have a footprint in the South now, and they want to increase their presence out here. What they've also realized is with the rise of vernacular content, which is becoming really, really big now, most of these brands realize that you need an agency which understands South very well to actually increase their footprint. And if the center of gravity is shifting to as far as the consumer is concerned, I mean, what's wrong in giving my brand to a client, to an agency that sits out of Bangalore?
But Lloyd, looking at it from, if I may say, the client's angle or from the client side of things, Chennai was always the favorite test market for the rest of India, right? How much of that has probably influenced the rise of South?
That's an interesting point, Prasad. What has happened, I guess, in the last decade or so is that business has got more dispersed, right? I think there's been a huge growth in businesses in the South, right? I think the second, as was pointed out, was post pandemic, working remotely, working from anywhere became the norm. And I think the other factor is really the growth of digital, which in some sense has brought local sensibilities far closer home, right? I think that these three things have been the big drivers. Today, it's far more cooler to have advertising that comes distinctly from a part of the country. And digital helps you make multiple creatives at a much lower cost than just rendering as was done in the past.
Interesting. Do you all feel that, Bangalore actually did the first thing right, which means there was a very strong brand capital, if I may use that term, of Bangalore being seen as the Silicon Valley of India. As a result, when digital marketing became up front and center, there was probably, a natural kind of inclination of clients to look at Bangalore based talent for digital marketing. And that explains the rise of probably Bangalore in a large way. Would you agree, disagree? Rahul, can I start with you?
Yeah, it's a combination of multiple factors, not just the IT hub. It's also because the educational levels are high. The exposure is high. The initial affinity to have tried technology and internet is high. So this, along with the technology silicon angle, Silicon City or Silicon Capital of India angle, actually got more and more people from across the states into Bangalore. It was an easier access from moving into the city as well.
Yeah, I tend to agree completely with Rahul that two things that have really helped Bangalore is one is in a way it's like saying like you're living in the heart of technology, so your tendency to adopt technology is much faster. One of the things that we realize is that the the need that a lot of South clients feel, for example, our Cochin clients and our Chennai clients, the way they're almost like driven by the fact that we need to lead the change. I mean, we just created the first AI film for VGuard, and we aired it, and we will now we create three more in a row, right? So the propensity to try something new, to break the clutter and be ahead, I think is far more. The South clients are far more open to it. I think that pressure is much lesser up north.
Mhm. And Rahul, if I may kind of bring you in, uh, the rise of Bengaluru has also been a lot of global marketing back offices, if I may call them, or GCCs, if I can describe them as, where Lenovo first moved its entire global marketing back office to Bengaluru. I think Target now has a GCC in the south specifically focused on marketing. How much of this global confidence has actually helped the south actually show off its marketing muscle?
See, I honestly do not think it's making a big dent. So there are cases where even though there are GCCs in Bangalore, I am still running a ad which was produced in Singapore in the Indian market. Okay. This we have seen for technology companies, this we have seen for large multinationals, non-tech companies, we have seen this for FMCG companies, so on and so forth. But having said that, if you are a veteran who has been in South as a marketeer heading large organizations, then the whole effectiveness comes in because they know that Tamil nuances are starkly different from a Malayalam nuances, which is different from a Kannada nuances and a Telugu nuances. So a veteran marketeer in South is more open to have those creative effectiveness coming in lot more compared to, let's say, it being run at a global level or it being run at a corporate level from a Delhi or a Bombay point of view, even though things are changing there as well.
Bangalore has also been a consolidation hub for the South, right? A lot of the big brands earlier in the South, from say a Chennai or a Cochin, would give their businesses to a Bombay agency, right? What they have realized is that Bangalore is probably a better bet because Bangalore is a very cosmopolitan agency atmosphere. You have people who are speaking Tamil, Malayalam, Kannada, okay, Hindi speakers. They're all sitting in one space, right? And the propensity to hence think in languages is much easier within the Bangalore agencies. And in fact, this is something very interesting because we have gained from that, where Bombay agencies say lost their business and it came to us, right? So the consolidation is happening for South also to Bangalore.
Oh, that's very interesting to note. Lloyd, are we in a scenario where head offices are extremely kind of since you mentioned that you interact with a lot of founders, etc. Are founders more sensitized to these new age harsh realities than the old world legacy companies?
I'd certainly agree. Some of the instances that Kaustav and Rahul were pointing out, I think you have to recognize that in the large legacy companies, your CMOs and decision makers still tend to be relatively older folk who are still rooted in a, shall we say, a slightly earlier reality, right? For them, it's still that, singular agency brief and then doing multiple renders. I think new age founders recognize and that a lot of communication has to be very very sensitive, very local. In fact, hyper local is the new buzz. So I think that's been a very 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 big driver. And two, like I said, is the reduced barrier of having to move all the creative or the post production. Today so much of it happens independently. A lot of digital content is generated entirely within a studio in a local spot. I think these two things have balanced things quite a bit, and therefore my projection, Prasad, is that over time comms will get far more and more dispersed.
Lovely. This conversation will actually not be complete unless we speak about the rise of South India and compare it with the rise of independent agencies originating from the South. Rahul and Kaustav, do you think there is some magic sauce Or is there a magic wand out there which is hidden away from the rest of the country?
One of the things that I think had been happening, and I can very clearly quote this from the reason why we started is I think Bangalore was always raring to try new experiments. At least all the NC folks we knew here. Like I remember 10 years ago, I kept telling people and all my colleagues saying that listen, the era of big budget films is getting over very soon, right? Okay, as the digital age becomes a reality for us, is going to be lots of content, right? And hence, let's figure out how to make content cheaper, faster, but of good quality, right? So this sort of thinking, I think, was happening to independent agencies faster because it was also a matter of survival for us, right? We had to survive, and we had to survive against the big boys. And we're looking at the transition of the market, the evolution of the market, the evolution of the consumer, of the age brackets, that how the median age was dropping. These were things we were very, very conscious about as we started building our agencies.
And today, the evolution of Bangalore or South in terms of having so many indies has also been because of digital. Because once upon a time, and I'm talking, let's say, 10 years, 15 years back, your indie agencies were started by people who were in the advertising for 15 years, 20 years, and then suddenly they realized that, okay, I don't want corporate, I want my own space, I want to run companies the way I want it. To today, where most of the indie agencies that you have in South, and in fact in other areas as well, are not veterans but young adults who are in their early 20s, mid 20s, who is ready to experiment, risk, learn, adapt, and at the same time have a clear understanding of how digital and the digital ecosystem works. I mean, they have the appetite to take the risk. They are ready to unlearn, fail, learn again, and then just work it out.
And to kind of finally wrap it up with Lloyd, being an angel investor, would you put your money on independent agencies?
Oh, absolutely. I think the time for independent, unencumbered, unhinged agencies is here. In fact, like I believe the process of regionalization is just going to accelerate. I think it's also going to become a lot more personal. And indeed, it's going to be very, very hyper local. And if I would say so, finally, the digital ecosystem lets you have the ability to almost customize your communication down to the individual, if not to the small cohort. And, it's showing in various things, whether it's, social marketing and, or marketing through influencers. But I really think regionalization and hyperlocalization is in. And it's just a matter of time before we have a discussion about a lot of communication agencies coming from relatively small town India. And this is not about the big metros down south. I think this is much further down.
Lovely. On that note, I should thank you very much, gentlemen, for taking out your precious time and joining us today at the Morning Brief.
Thanks, Prasad. That was a lovely conversation and enjoyed hearing the views of both Kaustav and Rahul.
Thanks, Prasad. Lovely meeting and interacting with both Lloyd and Kaustav. It was really great to actually speak so much about how South has actually evolved.
So, that was Brandalore for you. The rise of Bengaluru as an advertising heavyweight comes from southern India's impressive economic growth. Bengaluru, Kerala, Hyderabad and Chennai are experiencing significant economic growth driven by the expansion of various consumer categories. For example, major jewelry brands in Kerala themselves add about 1,000 crore to the advertising kitty. To top that, there is high consumer spending in the south. Consumers in southern India exhibit a strong inclination and capacity to purchase, establishing it as not just a test market, but a crucial market for businesses. And COVID-19's impact on tech hubs can't be emphasized enough. The COVID-19 pandemic accelerated a power shift as the rise of remote work enabled tech-centric cities like Bengaluru to leverage this opportunity significantly. So, the next time you hear someone talking about the fortunes of advertising going south, This is what they are probably talking about. We hope you liked this episode. It was produced by Anirban Chaudhary and Vinay Joshi. Sound designed by Amrit Reggie and Indranil Bhattacharjee. A new episode of The Morning Brief drops every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, wherever you get your podcasts. Keep listening. All external clips used in this episode belong to their respective owners. Credits are mentioned in the description.